Hi everyone, welcome back. Thank you for joining me today. So I'm continuing to explore my creativity and I'm doing that in the form of abstract art. So I'm going to use various tools and various surfaces to work on, but I'll take you down now so I can show you the surface area that I'm going to use, the tools that I'm going to use, and also the colour palette. Let's see what we can create. So today I'm using a canvas board. So it's very thin, it's like paper. Obviously it's a canvas top, but it's backed on cardboard. So you have to consider things like that when you're using fluid paint because the paint will still absorb into that surface area. I've got a sponge and I've got a comb, and I'm going to do some comb flicks across this board. My colour palette will include the gold, the black and the white, along with the blues, and all of that information, including the colours and the brands, will be listed in the description box below. So just expand that and check that information out because there's a lot of useful information in there too. So I just want a base colour, and this is about creating some layers on this board. So I'm going to take the gold paint and I'm going to take my sponge and I'm literally going to dab the sponge across the canvas board to fill the full surface area. I'm now adding a little bit of black and I'm just going to again dab the black across that board, and I'm going to cover the full canvas using the black. But by using the sponge, it's going to also allow that gold to peek through in certain areas. So I'm using the sponge to fully cover the canvas board, first of all with the gold and then with the black. And it's about creating some depth and some texture to this piece. Just before that I use the blue colours and the comb. So this piece does evolve as we go through the process. But one thing that I would really encourage you to do when you're doing your art, whether it's fluid art, abstract art, or a different form, enjoy being in that process. Really immerse yourself in that process. Don't worry about that end result too much, because sometimes when you allow yourself to have no boundaries, no rules, you can create some really interesting work. So the gold and the black are there. I'm using my comb, so I'm going to puddle the paints down one side, and I'm literally going to drag the comb across the canvas board and smooth out the paint. But by doing that, I'm going to create some lines within that paint because of the texture of the comb. You'll see what I mean as I go along. It's not going to fully cover the canvas, but it will create different length in terms of the lines. So the lines that are going to be created will be a different length because the comb will pick up some of the paint and drag it across the surface area. So I'll leave you now just so you can see how I do that part of the process. So you can see all I'm doing is immersing the comb into the paint and flicking the comb from one area to another. And the paint itself attaches to the comb bristles and travels on the comb across that canvas board. The idea here is to create different length lines, and the comb is great in doing that. So I just repeat this process a couple of times so I fill one side. And in my mind, I'm almost thinking of a cityscape. Maybe a little bit like New York, where there's some iconic buildings and almost like a moody, dark sky above. But let's see how this transforms. I don't want to be too set in my thinking. I'm just seeing how the tools and the paint work together to create an abstract piece of art. Now, I hear you all gasp, and I didn't want to panic when I dropped the paint. I literally just carefully save as much paint as I can. I clear it off the table, and you know what? What do we always say? It's only paint, it can be used, so don't gasp too much, even though behind the scenes I was probably a little bit in panic mode. But I've cleared it up and it's all going to be good. These things happen, right? So I'm going to continue with the process by layering the paint on one side and flicking it through and up on the board with the comb. So if I'm saying to myself, these are buildings, this is a cityscape, I wanted to add in some light, and I did that by using some gold. So I'm using a different part of the comb, and I'm literally dipping my comb into the gold paint and then spreading the paint across the board using the comb. It's about creating reflection and light, whether this is going to be a cityscape or not. I really wanted to add that gold element because, as you remember, we added some gold right at the beginning on the surface of that canvas board. We added the black on top, and it's almost like the light shining through. So I wanted to add this dimension too, just so it can kind of consistently go throughout this piece, the gold in the background and the gold in the forefront. So I want to create a little bit more mood now. So I'm adding some of the black paint onto the sponge, and I'm literally going to dab the sponge on the canvas board. Don't worry, it does look quite dark, but we will lighten that as we go by adding some more white and then a little bit of gold as well on top. But like I said right at the beginning, this is about layering the creation, layering the paints on the surface of that creation and building up that emotion and that feeling and the overall look. So I'm just going to add some white now. I'm just going to lighten up that area and blend in the colours with different tones using the sponge. I'm going to take you in for a close-up so you can see the version, but first of all I'm just going to remove the masking tape that's around the edge. That's my frame, and I'll take you in so you can see some of the textures, the lines that were created with the comb, and let me know what your feeling is with this piece. What does this piece say to you? So I showed this piece to one of my friends, and they almost said that it could be turned up a different way, where you were having a bit of a cloudy day yourself in your mind, and that blue sky and light starts to shine through. I see it more as a cityscape, where I look across and I can almost see some really tall buildings with a storm that's coming in from afar over the city. But I would love to know what you think about this, and if you try this yourself, let me know how you get on. I'd love to hear what you do and what colours you use as well. But I'd be really interested for you to let me know what you think about this piece. And remember, it's not about just having it one way. Make sure you turn the piece around and have a good look at it when you create something, because there might not just be one way to hang a piece. I want to thank all of you for being here. Thank you to each and every one of you for all of your likes and your comments and all of your feedback. And let me know what you think about this piece in the comments below. I really hope I get to see you in the next video, and also let me know if you'd like me to use certain colour palettes or surface areas that you've not used yet either. So I'm going to be doing abstract art as well as fluid art till the end of the year. So there's a lot of time for lots of experiments to go ahead. And I'll see you soon. So take care, be kind to yourself, and I'll see you again in the next creation video. Bye everyone.